Hey everybody, it's Trainer Joe. Today we're going to talk about 7 foods
Hey everybody, it's Trainer Joe.
for survival. 7 foods for survival. What 7 foods would you choose if you were going to be on an island for a year? An island for a year. There's no food on the island, but you will be provided with 7 foods. You can pick 7 things you're going to eat the whole time. Why is this difficult? Think about it for a minute. Why would this be challenging? Why would this be difficult for you? And I'm going to issue a challenge by the end of this, so stay with me here. I'm going to issue a challenge. There's going to be a prize if you choose to accept it. Can you guess what it might be? What the challenge might be? But hold on a minute. When somebody does my 21-day transformation, I provide them with a list of foods they get to eat. It's got about 250 items on it. And I remember one time there was a lady in the audience. She said, she asked a question. She said, "Why isn't beef on the list?" I said, "You've got a list of 250 items on there, and you got various meats." She said, "I can't live off chicken for a month." That's what she said. She had 250 items, variety of all kinds of food, including meats. Just didn't have beef. You know why this is hard when we imagine living on just 7 foods for any length of time, especially if it's a year? Because we want what we want. We're used to certain things. Don't get me wrong here. I appreciate so much the abundance and the variety of foods we have. It's special. It's amazing. But the struggle in our culture here in Kentucky is we enjoy that abundance, but we don't have a reasonable stopping point. Our pleasure has become unrestrained, and we are suffering for it. I was having lunch with a pastor one time, and he said, "Joe, I think I'm starting to catch on to what you're telling me." He said, "You're not telling me that I can't splurge." He said, "You're just telling me I need to learn how to splurge for somebody that weighs 190 pounds instead of somebody that weighs 240 pounds. That's correct. We are entitled. We've taken food from a plate and we put it on a pedestal. What foods would you choose? I had one client one time. She may not have been quite 5 foot tall, and she weighed about 350 pounds. And I was trying to help her. I was trying to figure out how can we help her, because she wanted to be thinner, and she needed to lose good 200 pounds, and she wanted to, but she also really liked her food. And I was coming up with different ideas. And one day I noticed she brought a sub sandwich with her to one of our sessions. And I said, "You like those sub sandwiches?" She said, "Oh, I really like them." And I challenged her. I said, "Okay, well," she wasn't interested in eating any of the foods that I was recommending. Anything, vegetable, fruits, she just wasn't interested in that. It was kind of a peculiar thing. But I said, "Would you be willing to just eat sub sandwiches if that was a program I put you on?" She said, "Oh, yes, that would be perfect because I like sub sandwiches." She wasn't willing to do that. We think we would, but it gets down to it. We want what we want. She still wanted to eat at night the cookies and things in bed while she was watching TV. But for a minute she thought, "I can do that." We can't do that because we have an attachment to the way we do things. We feel entitled to it, and we like the way we feel when we get what we want. I was having lunch with a physician friend recently, and we were talking about, she had taken some courses on health, weight loss, these types of things, and how few people that are morbidly obese will ever lose their weight and get to a healthy weight, and some of the science behind it. And I told her, I gave her my opinion. I said, "You know what I think? When it comes to people that come to my program, most people that are overweight, I really don't think it's a scientific issue. I don't think it's a metabolism issue. I don't think it's a physical issue. I think it's a mind and heart issue that shows up physically, but it's a mind and a heart issue." I really believe that. It's getting out of our comfort zone. And what we find is when we put ourselves in these physically challenging places, whether it's rehab, whether it's, you go to a weight loss clinic, where are the different places we go? When you suffer physically, it allows for spiritual, mental changes to happen, emotional changes to happen, but we don't allow that. We keep feeding our issues with food rather than allowing ourselves to go through hard things like a retreat might do, sabbatical might do, where we get changes because we remove ourselves from what we're used to. Will you be willing to remove yourself from what you're used to for a week? Would you be willing to live on just 7 foods for 7 days? That's all you're going to eat for a week. Now, do not accept this challenge if you have physical health issues so you may die if you do this. I don't want you to do that. If your doctor would not be in favor of it, don't do it. But if you're okay, you would like to lose some weight, you would like to learn some about yourself, because people have issues, people have struggles. And it's revealed when we take away some of the things we medicate with, and we see, whoa, I've got some problems. And we see that, and we can learn about ourselves. You would do this in order to learn some things about yourself, and you would also get a prize from me. Anybody that chooses to accept to do this, if you're willing to talk about it, let me talk about you. A week from now, we'll talk about whoever decided to do it. Now, this is for people that aren't currently in my program. You need to just be watching this. Guys that are already in my program, some of them are choosing to do it. This does not include you, necessarily. But those of you just watching, thinking, I need to do something, I'm going to try this challenge that Trainer Joe's put me on, we'll send you a PDF of my book. I'm not going to send an actual book, but I'll send you the PDF. It's got every word that's in here that you'll get. So if you do that, and a week from now, you report in, send me a message with your name and email, we'll send you out the book. So here's, I had 30 responses from people that were in my programs, and I asked them the question, what foods would you choose? You're going to be on an island for a year, you get to choose 7 foods, what are they? And I was fascinated, only one person out of those 30 said kale, peas, cabbage, salsa. Now salsa is more than one food, but we're going to allow that to be one of your options if you want it to be, because it's a combination of foods. But we will allow that one. Only one person said bacon. Out of 30 responses, only one person said bacon. Isn't that surprising? And only one said coffee. You believe that? Well, when you think about it, though, if you only get 7 things to eat or drink, water is your only beverage here. Unless you choose, if you choose milk, then that's one of your 7 options, okay? Coffee would be one of your 7. Chips. One person said corn chips. It's a little more than one food, but we would allow that too. Only one person said cereal, which was total. One said asparagus, protein powder. One said squash, and one said pears. Only 2 people said Quest bars, popcorn, peppers, pickles, and cucumbers. And only 2 people said peanut butter, carrots, ice cream, and chocolate. Basically, there were only 2 people that chose anything that resembled a dessert, at least to me. And I thought that was fascinating. Only 3 people said yogurt, cheese, and then I had a couple said blueberries and one said grapes. 3 people out of 30. 4 people out of 30 said watermelon. Man, in the summer, what fruit is going to be more refreshing than watermelon? And then, again, you only get 7 choices here. Then we had 5 people said bananas, sweet potatoes, shrimp, and crab legs. 6 people said mushrooms and onions. I put those together. Mushrooms or onions. Fish or salmon or tomatoes. And then I had 7 people out of 30 that said broccoli or cauliflower. 8 people said avocado rice. And then only 8 people said turkey, lamb, steak, or beef. All those together. 7 people. Steak. Only 8 people out of 30 said steak or beef would be one of their 30 choices. Thought that was interesting. 9 people said green beans, pinto beans, or black beans. 10 said oatmeal. Thought that was kind of surprising. A lot of oatmeal fans out there. 11 out of 30 said spinach or lettuce. And then 13 said some kind of nuts. It was mostly walnuts. 15 people said eggs. Now we're getting down to the top, I think the top 2 remains. What do you think those are? If you only had 7 foods you got to eat for a year, 18 said apples and 18 said chicken. Will you accept the challenge? Because you'll learn things about yourself. We remove foods you're used to, and it's a real struggle for us. What I would be interested in is how difficult was it for you? Of course, you got to share what your 7 foods are. And it can't be pizza. Pizza is not a food. Okay, that's 5 different foods. It needs to be a whole food. There were a couple exceptions on here in salsa and total cereal. If you're going to do cereal, that's the only one we would allow. And if you're going to do salsa, it has to be just salsa and not sugary and oily salsa. If you do coffee, that's one of your options. If you do creamer, that's one of your options. If you do a sweetener, it can't be sugar. It would need to be stevia. That would be one of your options. We're not doing spices. You can't do salt. You can't do pepper. Guys, you're on an island. You get 7 foods. We're going to remove a lot of the joy of your life. A lot of the joy, a lot of the pleasures from your life are gone, but you're going to have plenty for sustenance. I don't want you gorging out on one of the foods you pick. If you pick ice cream, which is kind of pushing a little bit, but you can pick ice cream if you want to. But the challenge partly is for you to live in somewhat of a moderation as while you're doing this, not just to see if I can eat a gallon of ice cream a day. You with me on this? We have issues. This will help you see what some of yours are and learn some things about yourself so you can get through them. That's my challenge to you. This would start immediately, and it would end 4:30 next week. And before my session next week, let's say by 3 o'clock, so I can chat about it online if you choose to do it, by 3 o'clock next week, you need to report your findings to me. If you do the program by 3 at the latest, sometime a week from today, Wednesday, you need to tell me how your challenge went. And we would say you can start eating normally again by 3 o'clock on Wednesday. But you need to report to me by 3 o'clock that you did it, how it went, how you felt, did you gain weight, did you lose weight, and be sure and send me your email so I can send you out a book. Again, for people that are in my programs currently, we can talk about if you want to do that, but this is mainly for people that are outside of any of my programs that we're doing. Any questions about that? List them. I'll try to answer them for you, and we'll see how that goes. You have been challenged. Do not do this if you have health problems or you have a doctor that says not to do it. This is not for everybody, but I think it is for a lot of people that need to learn what kind of unhealthy attachments they have to food, because you could live off 7 foods for the rest of your life just fine. Look around the world. How many people do you think would love to pick 7 foods that they could eat that don't have that many options that are going to provide for their nourishment? So there you go. That's your challenge. Hope you decide you want to do that and it works well and you learn something valuable from it. I'll see you in a week and we'll talk about it again then. I'm Trainer Joe, helping you train your brain and transform your body.